Forgot to hit the button. Welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard on a lovely Friday morning. That's right, it is Friday. And I don't know what that means, but it's Friday. Okay, so thanks for joining us, everybody in the chat room. Greg is here. Missed you, Greg. Can't do this podcast without you. Dale, George, Kevin Hastings, and Steve Gray, Unholy Toledo, has just checked in. And that's the way it is. Okay, so let's go. Yes, we do. We have a bunch of stuff, and now you're going to hear all about the trades. Lots of trades. Just want to make sure the sound is okay, Dale. If you could cue me in, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, Andy, if you're listening, and you should be, okay, let me know how the sound is. So let's get right to the action, okay? Perfect in every way. Nobody has ever referred to me in any sentence along with the word perfect. That's for sure. Now, yesterday, something weird is going on. The Chicago White Sox reportedly, that's a capital R, have been in talks with Yasiel Puig, but the team is not pushing to sign him. You get this guy on 670 The Score. His name is Bruce Levine. And he's pretty good. It's a good show. I've listened to a lot of his shows. There's no negotiations taking place. It doesn't make sense. It didn't even make sense for the White Sox to sign Encarnacion when you have, the opportunity to have Grandal as a DH and Alou as a DH and Encarnacion. Anyway, zero negotiations. So if you hear that about Yasiel Puig, high profile, looked like a logical match for the White Sox when the offseason began. But then what happened? No more Mazzara. I don't know if this is old news. Here's what happens, and I've been told this by a couple of people really in the know who were there at the last winter meetings last year, not this year, who told me that when you go to these meetings and you're getting paid by whatever company you work for, there's expenses, the salary, you got to come up with stuff. So they tend to make up stuff. Doesn't even make sense. So they acquired Mazzara. They re-signed Abreu, remember? And they agreed with Encarnacion. And with Mazzara and Eloy as the starting corner outfielders, and Abreu, Encarnacion, Grandal, that trio likely to log plenty of time at the DH, there may not be a place for Puig. I don't get it, man. If they sign Puig, it doesn't. I mean, look, that's the way it is. They are putting all their. They're throwing everything into the middle of the table. They're going all in. Okay, the Pirates. All right, so that's it. Now on the other side, who is looking for him? As you well know, that I am part of my. Real extended family is Craig Mish, who I've done so many shows with Craig on Sirius Radio. The Marlins' clear target at this point is Yasiel Puig. Now, they've talked to Dickerson, and that's what's his name, Corey Dickerson, but again, they don't view him as a 162-game player. If Dickerson signs elsewhere, it's Puig or bust. Of course they can make a deal. Craig Mish very high on the fact that the Marlins would be very interested in Yasiel Puig. That makes sense. And you take a look at the Marlins, and look, don't laugh at me now, please. Don't laugh. Don't say anything. All right, it's a very tough Eastern Division. There's no question about it. The Marlins outfield with Puig would be Jonathan Villar. They got Isan Diaz at second base. Miguel Rojas will be at short. Brian Anderson at third. That's pretty well set. Jonathan Villar, switch hitting left fielder. Lewis Brinson, Harold Ramirez, and then on the bench they'll have maybe Matt Kemp. I can imagine an outfield of Matt Kemp and Yasiel Puig. John Bertay, who did very well in stolen bases last year. Magneuris Sierra. We're waiting for this speedster. I don't know. Look, I know Craig, but first base may be the place. Aguilar, they're not sure if Aguilar's going to make it. Garrett Cooper, he's been told he's not a regular. So, yeah, they could make some room for Yasiel Puig. Alcantara, Caleb Smith, Pablo Lopez. Eliezer Hernandez, Robert Duggar, Jordan Yamamoto. It's not a great pitching staff, but it's not a tanking team's pitch staff. It's not garbage. Urena could be, and they just signed. Remember, they signed Yimi Garcia. Adam Connolly is there. So let's see what happens. Drew Steckenrider was out with an elbow last year. Let's see if this happens. But don't buy. I can't buy. Sometimes you just can't buy everything you read. And I don't. And here's the case. I don't even know what I'm reading when they're talking about that. I don't know. Good morning to Arnie. Dennis Timko, where you been there, Doc? All I know is every day I think of Dennis Timko. You know why? Because I put soles in my shoes because of Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. George is here. Eric is here. Good morning. Nice to see you, Eric. J.R. Matz is back. And, of course, J.R. Matz. With Cincinnati doing so well, we can expect to see J.R. Matz gloating in the chat room. Okay? Kevin, of course. Steve Gray, Annalie Toledo. And Zelmo, good morning to you. All right? George wanted his name, his second son, Magnarius. And what's his middle name going to be? Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, anyway, I don't have a lot of time for Bull Dinky and Poppycock this morning. Here's the rotation of free agents. King Felix is out there. Alex Wood. Rich Hill, who was arrested. Him and his wife. I never did read that entire story. Colin McHugh, another one of those Mets that were given away. The Mets gave away. Listen to this. You want to talk about stupid teams? The Mets payroll is not so bad. I mean, it's not New York Yankee payroll. They're not crushing the luxury tax, but they gave away. I don't even know. I can't even tell you who the players were. Even if I read it, I couldn't tell you who the players were. Justin Turner, giveaway. Give away. Colin McHugh, give away. Travis D'Arnaud, give away. It's not always how much money a team has. It's how it's in the cabeza. You know what I say about players? They got all the tools, but they don't have the tool case. I don't know what's going on with the Mets, but they got to really. It's not only going to have to be Steve Cohen's money. It's going to have to be somebody's brains, and I'm not too sure if Brodie Van Wagtail can do it. So we'll see. And, of course, relief pitchers, really thin. Daniel Hudson, Will Harris, Steve Cishek. We went over that this morning, a couple of days ago. Jeremy Jeffress. Here's the starting team of free agent players. Ryan Zimmerman at first. Brian Dozier at second. I'm surprised he's not scooped up, but then again, he's over 30. Addison Russell, are we ready to give up on him? Josh Donaldson could go soon. Marcell Ozuna, you got to take the position that there's something wrong with Marcell Ozuna somewhere. We see the stats of the players. We watch them play the game of Major League Baseball. But, like I said, it's all about the cabeza. Do they have the tool case, all right? Alex Wood could be a cheap option. You're right, George. The White Sox could try to flip Mazzara to make room for Castellanos. I heard something about that as well, okay? So, all we know is the White Sox have done a great job of making this offseason very interesting, right? Okay. I think we agree on that. It's been a pretty interesting offseason. Let's see. So Ozuna, Kevin Pillar, has he gone up and down? Nick Castellanos, Robinson Chirinos, the catcher. Yasiel Puig is the DH. And there you go. I just have to get this point in, okay? Just have to get this point in. I don't think the Hall of Fame voting has happened yet because I don't know if they're... Oh, the phones are ringing. Let's see who this is. The phones are ringing, and as you know, we always take phone calls here. Good morning. Yes, how are you today? Oh, it's the credit card people. Okay, the credit card people. There you go. Goodbye. I can't do it. I can't hear them. Gonna have to have them call into the show. All right. Here's the thing about the. They want to reduce my credit card. They want to reduce my credit card interest, and then they eventually ask me what's my card that I have the most money on, and then I say I don't know, and they say we need. I just set them up so they ask me if I have a Visa. And you know what I say, for those of you who've been here before. I say, no, I'm an American citizen. I don't have a visa. In 1999, Larry Walker's got to get into the Hall of Fame. You know, I read an article where they compared his stats away from... This is how stupid people are. They compared his stats away from Coors Field in one of his better seasons. Okay, away from Coors Field. They compared his counting numbers away from Coors Field. You got to be very careful when you read this stuff. And somebody comped him to Trot Nixon for the same year. They didn't. So, but you're talking about Larry Walker in half his games had the same stats as Trot Nixon, and they try to put Larry Walker down. He had 124 plate appearances in 1999. This has nothing to do with Coors Field. He had 124 plate appearances that ended with the pitcher ahead in the count, and he hit 387 in those plate appearances. That means what? He hit the ball with 2 strikes. He was a great 2-strike hitter, or ahead of the count. He was this guy. I'm livid that he's not in, okay? Livid, okay, that he's not in. Larry Walker's got to make the Hall of Fame. Almost no doubt about it. One thing about the Betances thing. Everybody's talking, did Betances sign because he didn't want to be with the Yankees? Did Betances sign because the Mets, he wanted to be a Met? I've heard some of that here on WFAN in New York. Did he want to be a Met? He didn't want to be a Yankee? You would believe what goes on WFAN here in New York. Now, the Met fans, we can't trade the third. They don't want to give up anybody. Everybody's so good. Oh, my, McNeil. We're not trading McNeil to get Arenado. Are you kidding me? But here's the deal. Betances was good friends with Carlos Beltran, who he played with as a Yankee. Their wives are very close. His Achilles doctor was Martin O'Malley, New York-based, and plus Met team doctor David Alchuk was the second opinion on his shoulder last year. He knows, but that's why Betances is a Met. Well, that's not the real reason. Something has to do with Robert De Niro, if you know what I'm talking about. You know Robert De Niro? He's a money guy, right? Anyway, Cole Calhoun, $16 million for. I'm surprised Cole Calhoun is not better. But the Diamondbacks were in the bottom 10 in OPS and home runs against right-handed pitching last year, and Calhoun had 23 homers, 8 something OPS against right-handers. So he fits the bill, and I'll tell you what, another team you may want to bet. We'll go over the odds pretty soon, as soon as I get to it. Calhoun replaces Adam Jones in right field. Provides a left-handed bat. If the Arizona trades or loses either Jake Lamb or David Peralta, it's pretty good. So there you go. That's Cole Calhoun. Cole Calhoun. Now, a lot of people are wondering why the Dodgers are not, killing it. You might have think that the Dodgers would be all over everybody, okay? Considering they have a television contract worth more than $8 billion, for those of you up in the great state of Boston. $8 billion is what the Dodger contract is for their TV. Holy mackerel. It's hard to believe. The Dodgers' behavior this offseason has been almost, I'll use the word alarming, okay? When they failed to get Garrett Cole, and who didn't think that Garrett Cole was going to the Dodgers? I mean, let's face it, man. Garrett Cole to the Dodgers, I was one of them. But I thought it was going to be the Angels. So Garrett Cole to the Dodgers, Garrett Cole to the Angels. I would have bet my sweet Bippy that it would have been one of those. My sweet Bippy. Andrea's my sweet Bippy, all right? George would rather have Rory Calhoun. White Sox Al is, there you go. He makes his grand entrance, not with the rest of the people, but because White Sox Al absolutely is a special dude. That's right. We all know that. Special dude. White Sox Al. Great job by your Chicago White Sox. Steve Gray. What happened to Steve Gray? He was here early and he leaves early. I couldn't figure that one out. Come on, Steve. Hope it was not something I said. Anyway, yeah. So that takes care of that. You got that? Good. So they Hun Shin Ryu. They let him go to Toronto without any other elite free agent pitchers on the market. As it stands now, the Dodgers have a worse roster than they did last year. The last time something like this happened was before 2016, I believe, when the Dodgers didn't re-sign Zach Greinke and then tried to replace. Remember this? They tried to replace him with Scott Kazmir, and the team didn't make it out of the first round of the playoffs. You would think the Dodgers would have remembered. If I remember it, you think the Dodgers would remember it, right? So, with their, I think the Dodgers are one of the few teams. Yankees would be another one. With every move they don't make, the Dodgers suspicions come up. Well, how come the Dodgers didn't get him? Okay, their objective isn't to win the World Series. Maybe it's just to win another division title. So anyway, that takes care of that. And the Dodgers, the absence of competition has spared the Dodgers the obligation to pay. I mean, Colorado is never in the mix. The Giants, I don't know what's going on. They let go Baumgartner. So really, one of the things that the National League East is doing that the National League West is not. I mean, Arizona is making some stuff. The addition of Baumgartner, I hope they don't trade Robbie Ray. Colorado is not acting like a contender. San Diego is a year or two away. The Giants are not acting like a contender. So why should the Dodgers go crazy? I don't know. As Dion of the Belmonts once said, good morning to Jay Bass. Rotorius is here. Tell me why. Tell me why. You know that. Absence of Malice. Who played in that movie? Absence of Malice, George. Come on. George is throwing out names that even Abe Lincoln wouldn't remember, right? Way to go, Georgie. Okay, so that's the thing with the Dodgers. Now the White Sox, I just have to get back to the White Sox again because White Sox Gal is here, so I saved it for you. Kenny Williams hasn't been the White Sox general manager since 2012, but his name was the first name that sprang to mind the night that we found out Edwin Encarnacion. Okay? It was something that Kenny Williams used to do all the time. Kenny Williams used to go out and get these kind of players. Encarnacion turns 37, okay, in January. And that's not the sort of player you bring onto a rebuilding team, okay? He could be like a Jose Canseco, Roberto Alomar, Omar Vizquel. He could be the next home run or bust slugger like Adam Dunn. Or maybe he's the next David Wells, Bartolo Colon, aging player. Williams is now the White Sox vice president, loving acquiring big-name players past their prime. He did it when he served as the general manager of the White Sox. And I remember when Billy Williams came up, Bill Mazeroski had a magazine. He should be in the Hall of Fame for the magazine. And he had Kenny Williams as the next Ricky Henderson. And he started off pretty good. I mean, Adam Dunn, he was 31 when he arrived on a 4-year deal, right? So they got all kinds of stuff. All kinds of players. So, look, they got a lot of stuff here. And now they're talking about, remember yesterday I said that Madrigal and Robert, whatever his name is, were going to be late call-ups. Now they're talking about extending Lewis Robert, which would mean that service time doesn't matter. Okay? Service time doesn't matter. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Now, there's a lot of talk now. They got a lot of log jams, and one of them is a catcher with James McCann and Zach Collins. I'm not talking about Sevi Savala, Andy. Remember Sevi Savala? He's a back. He was rated behind Collins, and Andy is a favorite player for Andrea. But here's the deal: Trading McCann is a possibility. I think that'll happen, okay? Because returning Collins to a AAA Charlotte, that's possible too. But McCann's relationship with Louis Giolito was really instrumental in getting Giolito back on track. Collins is a former first-round draft pick. He's got 4 minor league seasons under his belt. So they have an excess of catchers. I'm telling you, look at this. Holy mackerel. Look at this team. They got $190 million worth of guaranteed contracts. They're doing it. That's right. And so last year, the Cleveland Indians were passed by the Minnesota Twins. This year, could the Chicago White Sox pass both of them? We'll see, okay? We'll see if they're going to pass both of them. All right, now let's get to what you came here for. And I'm not too sure. Well, first of all, I'm not too sure why you're here, but you're here, and I thank you so much for being here. So let's talk about some of the, here's something for you. The ballparks with the most runs scored in the decade of 2010. We're all going to say Coors Field. What stadium is the second most runs scored in the last decade? We know Coors Field has the most. What stadium is second? What stadium is third in scoring the most runs in the last decade? Okay? And, of course, that doesn't, not Toronto. That's a good guess by Andy. Not Toronto, okay? So what stadium is second to Coors Field, the most runs scored in the decade? Anybody want to take a shot on that? Guaranteed rate. Love it. Okay, Starlin Marte. There's not a full sense of urgency with Marte. Under control for another year. San Diego is looking at him, and the Mets, there seems to be talk of it's going to happen with the Mets, or there's a possibility. Now, Marte could go. Marte could go, but just let me reiterate. This is an idiot reiterating, all right? You have to be an idiot to reiterate. I've thought about that for a long time, which qualifies me for this whole analysis. The point is this, is Mookie Betts, Nolan Arenado, come on everybody, Francisco Lindor, if any one of these are traded before the season starts, nobody shows up at any of these ballparks. They have to let the season start, sell those tickets as best they can, and then when the team is floundering, they get rid of them, right? Isn't that how it works? We're all jumping up and down because this is the kind of thing that happens in the off season. Lindor, look, he's the best player. They just traded Kluber. Everybody's talking, and I know my dear friend Danielle McCartan on WFAN radio. She got callers, well, we're going to get Lindor. Even I say they're going to get Lindor, but not now. Not now. Cleveland can't trade him now. So come on. They can't trade any of these guys before the season. Jackie Bradley, he could be traded. Stands to reason that the luxury tax shaving Boston team will end up finding a taker. He's a center fielder. Starlin Marte's a center fielder. There are teams after these guys. You know what? And how about Danielle, if you're listening? How about Jackie Bradley to the Mets? Right? He'd be a pretty decent player. Jackie Bradley to the Mets. Are we really excited about that? Lindor is better than Kluber, yes, but they can't trade him. They can't trade him. All right, the second place team. Give you the answer now. Since if I don't give it to you now, you know I'm going to forget. All right. The second team was the Texas Rangers. Third team was Fenway Park. Fourth team was Target Field. Chase Field is fifth. Camden Yards. I know that the Camden Yards is sixth. Rogers Center in Toronto is seventh, and Comerica Park is eighth. Surprised about Comerica Park, only because the Tigers don't score any runs, and it's a tough stadium to hit home runs. So there you go. But anyway, that's it. It's Coors Field, the Texas Rangers, Fenway, Target, Chase Field, Camden Yards, Rogers Center, and Comerica Park. Those are the days, my friend. Okay, now, we keep talking about who the Mets are going to get, When Andrea and I were in Binghamton 2 years ago, we saw two players step out of the dugout. One of them, I said, "Wow, who is this guy?" And I knew he was there. I just didn't know who he was. And it was, Omar Rosario. But then I saw another guy, and I said, "Whoa, is this a player or is this part of the grounds crew?" And that was Dominic Smith. They could benefit from trading Dominic Smith, even if it means just freeing up payroll space. I mean, come on. I looked at him. I'm telling you. If Dominic Smith makes it, and you've all seen me do this for so many years. Remember Matt Laporta? I thought he was terrible. Remember Josh Vitters? As soon as they step out of the dugout, on the other side, you get Ike Davis too. Remember? I said he was garbage, and then I admitted I was wrong, and then I admitted I was right. But he left no energy, nothing. As opposed to guys like Dexter Fowler, who I loved as soon as I saw him, and Andrew McCutchen, who I loved as soon as I saw him. Those are the guys. You don't necessarily just take the biggest guys. But anyway, that's what I saw, and that's what I love. Dominic Smith's got to go. I will bet my bottom dollar and my top dollar. By the way, the Chris Bryant thing is a little different, okay? The third base market is clamor. They could get a lot for Chris Bryant. And it's not a dumping deal, okay? Not a dumping deal. Clint Frazier. He has caused the Yankees more trouble. The Yankees are just playing it cool. They're just sitting around. A few factors have made it difficult for the Yankees. The Yankees have spent big on pitching rather than using the trade market to address the needs. The acquisition. But Aaron Hicks, he's going to be absent early in the year. But Frazier's going to have a chance to either make it or break it. That's if they don't get somebody to throw him a big offer, okay? And there's still scenarios where Miguel Andujar could end up on the move. Absolutely. And one of those revolves around something that those of us who play fantasy baseball don't even think about. I've said this before. You look up the defensive stats of, what's his name? Who's the shortstop? Gleyber Torres. He's not a good shortstop. Very bad range at short, and other defensive metrics, not good, even though that's his regular position. Andujar's even worse. How they could play the left side of an infield with Andujar and Torres, I have no idea. Will Myers. He will, I've been elected to the Hall of Fame a number of years ago, back in 2016. The fact that I have been such a Will Myers rooter, that could get me out of the Hall of Fame. All right, Phil Rizzuto was a good PU with Will Myers. Come on, Andy. And by the way, Andy, I just want to thank you for. I saw you sleeping last night. By the way, now that may sound like a weird thing to say. Okay, yes, I saw Andrea L. sleeping last night. That would be a dream of many. But the point is that she never sleeps. So it's not from the context of ooh la la, I saw you sleeping, and to the thing of I saw you sleeping. Unbelievable. Okay, yep. There you go. Matt Moore was a great prospect. He looked like it, but he hasn't. Come on, man. He signs a contract because he has the potential to make about $6 million. $3.5 million guaranteed. He could make $6 million with some incentive. Okay, yeah. Will Myers could be traded. Anyway, I may go back on the Will Myers bandwagon depending on where he winds up. Okay, so we'll have to see about that. Will Myers. no question, his contract is owed. He's owed $20 million annually through 2022. Okay, his play hasn't justified that kind of money, but the Padres are said to be a bit over budget at the moment, and they're surely looking to improve their roster. They will trade Will Myers, and they will pick up a good part of his salary. Okay? Now, Pittsburgh could actually go ahead. We talked about the Pirates and the possibility of them making a trade for Starlin Marte. They could also trade Josh Bell. And Adam Frazier has been a very talked-about player. All right? He's getting so much interest, I found out, from other organizations. Frazier would fit a lot of rosters. It's not clear how much trade value he has. Bell would be very valued. Okay? It would be much harder for the Pirates to part with him. Okay? He did not sustain his superstar first half in 2019, but a lot of teams would want Josh Bell. Okay? And a lot of teams would want Adam Frazier. So these are some of the guys. The Cubs have been dangling Wilson Contreras. And I remember when a general manager, what's the general manager's name? Theo. When Theo came on Craig Mish's show on WFA, on Sirius Radio, that's without the W, he said, Craig asked him a question, said, who do you got that we don't know about? And he said, Wilson Contreras. So, this could be a big one. They are cash strapped. They haven't done anything compared to what the White Sox have done. And maybe they just can't go dumping Contreras because compared to what the White Sox have. Do you imagine if the Cubs started dumping and the White Sox started buying? Holy mackerel. But he's out there. For the right price, they will trade Wilson Contreras. Okay? As honest as Theo was, he's also told some people that, yes, for the right price, we will have to. Arnie, are you up next? I don't even know what day it is. Today's Friday. I don't think, and Andy took the schedule down. So now I have no idea what the schedule is because we took it down. But Andy has done tremendous work, and I got to tell you, for all those who were listening, 516-353-6375. That's my phone number. That's the hotline. And come on into the chat room. You don't need to register. It's all free. Just get your ass in here, man. It's the greatest place in town because of the greatest people in fantasy baseball. Yeah. Elviro Jimenez. Okay. Got it. Thank you, J.R. Matz. Thank you, sweetie. Love you, man. I called him sweetie. All right, Andrew, I say I love you, man. Something's wrong with me, okay? I'm watching a show this morning where this guy is asking, college kids around the country, how many genders are there? I mean, I tell you what, it's freaking hysterical. Who wins more games in 2020, the White Sox or the Cubs? Look, I don't want to be a front runner, but I got to tell you, it's going to be the White Sox, okay? Yeah, it's good. I might take the White Sox. It's the White Sox. White Sox. Chicago White Sox will win more games than the Cubs. And that's not even something. I think it's more of an upset if you say the other way around. There you go. So, all right, that takes care of things for today, kicks things in the wall for today. Got to thank each and every one of you for being here. Monday, we got so much to talk about. I mean, Monday we got some players. I'll tell you who they are. We're going to talk about this guy from Arizona, who I saw in the Arizona Fall League, okay? Who's a very interesting player, okay? And his name, he's the guy, I keep forgetting his name, Bohm, the third baseman for the Phillies. I got a lot of stuff on Bohm. I got a lot of stuff on Will Castro. You know who he is? You will. Jesse Winker we'll talk about. We got Travis Shaw we'll talk about. We'll talk about this kid who hit over 30 home runs last year, okay? And the Cardinals got rid of him. The Rangers got him. Nobody knows who he is. but he'll hit 30 home runs again. We'll talk about Fulmer. Remember Fulmer from Detroit? Anybody taking Fulmer? Michael Fulmer? Give you some more news about Louis Robert, Robert, and Robert. How about Corey Knebel? Is he a player to take? Okay? All this stuff. Lance McCullers. I even got something about Edwin Diaz. I got it all set up already, and that's all for Monday. You got that? I love you all. Sincerely, thank you. Now I have to go for a session about my money. Okay? Yeah, boom. All right? I have a bone to pick with you. He's a Fulmer Brush man. Thank you all. Arnie, Greg, Dale, Eric, George, Jay Bass, Rotorius, Kevin, Unholy, White Sox Al, Zelmo, the guests. Then we had Steve Gray in here. I'm telling you what, Dale, what a bunch of great people. I thank you and I love you and I thank you all for coming in. Spread the word. The goal this year is to get 100 people in the chat room. Love you all, everybody.